1 in 20 criminal cases result in wrongful conviction, according to an article titled Beneath the Statistics. Today I will be talking about a case named the Central Park 5. This informative speech will share the details of an infamous case to educate anyone who has not heard about it. I will share the story of the case, the injustice within the case, and the impacts of the case. And now I will give some background information. My first point is about the night that the crime took place, the night of April 19th, 1989. 20 to 30 Black and Latino men entered the park at an early hour in the morning. Trisha Miley, a 28-year-old investment banker, went out for a jog in Central Park. And after the boys had left, she was found brutally beaten and raped. Following the attack, Miley fell into a coma for about 2 weeks and retained no memory of the attack, according to Jacelyn Diaz in an article titled The Central Park 5 Are Exonerated. Unfortunately, there were additional victims to this case, which leads me to my second point about the injustice and the racism that the boys faced during their questioning and trial. The boys picked 5 of those men to be their culprits. However, they were not men. They were young boys. Antron McCray, 15, Kevin Richardson, 14, Yusuf Salam, 15, Raymond Santana, 14, and Corey Wise, 16, were all being interviewed about the night of the accident, and they were encouraged to lie. The kids were subjected to intense questioning, and their parents were not present despite them all being minors. They were promised that they would be able to leave if they agreed to plead guilty. Miley made a recovery in time to appear at the court trial, although she could not provide any statement due to losing her memory. The young men were tried as adults under New York laws of the day and convicted despite inconsistent and inaccurate confessions, DNA evidence that excluded them, and no eyewitness accounts connecting them to the victim, according to Ken Burns in an article titled Conviction and Exonerated. The boys spent about 6 to 13 years in prison. They all experienced lots of abuse during their time in prison. And even though the boys faced some difficult experiences, they eventually got some justice. It is important to note that the boys had several lasting impacts from this fault. The men struggled to return to society, and some turned to drugs and gangs. The boys may have missed their childhoods, but now they fight for their rights and advocate for wrongfully convicted people all over the nation through motivational speaking and public appearances. The reputations of the group, once known as the Central Park 5, were restored when in June 2002, a convicted murderer and serial rapist named Mateus Reyes, who was already serving a life sentence for other crimes, admitted to attacking Miley. His DNA was subsequently matched to the genetic material recovered from the scene. After their convictions were formally vacated, the 5 wrongly convicted men filed a civil suit against the city, which settled in 2014 for a reported $41 million, according to Chris Harris in an article titled Central Park 5 and Where They Are Now. In 2024, the 5 men sued Donald Trump after he advocated to bring back the death penalty. Donald Trump advocated for that. He put ads into newspapers after he heard about the boys' case. Even though this is nowhere close to fair, the men did their best to live their lives as they could. I have covered the details of the case, the horrible injustice, and the aftermath. It is important to be knowledgeable of cases like this so that the injustice ceases to exist in the future. Cases like this still happen to this day, which proves that changes need to be made. And several movies, TV series, and documentaries have been based on this case, which helps spread awareness for the issue. One of the Central Park 5, now referred to as the Exonerated 5, Yusuf Salam, is an active member in the New York City Council. And he says that as Black and brown people, it is as if we were born guilty. It's longer the last time.
What was it?